weighing up my trip, the highs and lows, what I'd lost and what I'd gained. This had been another exhausting adventure, but a deeply rewarding one too, and as I left Skye behind, regretted tearing myself away from the spectacular views onto the Cullens was overridden by a sense of achievement. The last week was a blur in my mind, but I was confident that I had at least a few good photos and enough footage to string together a story. Job done for now. I second-guessed my decision to drive south when my Aurora app started sounding alerts. But I was meeting a friend in Edinburgh the next day, and I didn't fancy tackling the drive from West Skye in one go. North-facing compositions from the past haunted me as I drove, but I ignored the turning for Castle Stalker and the beautiful conditions on Glencoe and Rannoch Moor, and I sped through the crowds as quickly as I could. I planned to break the journey to Edinburgh at Loch Lomond. A superstitious part of me grows in voice the longer I am out in nature, and after 7 days on the road, I couldn't help thinking that Loch Lomond might be a good place to camp. After all, I had sacrificed the drone battery to the gods of those waters on the journey up. Perhaps this time they'd be good to me. At the very least, I thought, surely a return visit would be better than kayaking there. You can never have enough layers when doing astrophotography. Even on warm summer and autumn nights, it gets chilly later on. Gonna have to switch my head torch on, I can't see anything. Ooh. There we go, light's a bit better. I'm still not sure whether it's going to autofocus, we'll see. I'm down by the shore of Loch Lomond, hoping to get some aurora tonight. The red alerts have been pinging all the way down on my drive from Skye, and I was really tempted to stay further north, but I wanted to take a bit more of a chunk out of the journey before putting in for the night. So the sun was setting and I was driving along Loch Lomond looking desperately for compositions that are facing north without too much light pollution on the horizon, and I think I found something. There's this beautiful river outlet going out into the loch with a stone out into the water slightly, which I think I can use as an anchoring element. I think it should work. It's probably about an hour until true darkness, so I'll have to wait a little while before I see whether the aurora is still kicking off and whether it's visible down here. Fingers crossed. If it doesn't show itself, I'll do a little bit of astrophotography. It's a beautiful, clear night. I also feel I must apologise for the catastrophe witnessed in the back of my car and inside my camera bag. It's been really hard to organise things on the road in all of this rain and wind. I'm really glad it's a dry and still night tonight. What an evening shooting. I cannot quite believe it. My face is being lit up by the light of the aurora. Obviously it's on the camera screen, it's very faint to the naked eye. When the pillars start dancing you can see them quite clearly, but otherwise it's just this faint glow on the horizon. I think I need to let my eyes adjust to the dark a little bit more and see if I can see it properly. But man, what a night. I've been so excited. I haven't been vlogging at all or recording any footage, just been doing a couple of time lapses. Really need to show you the back of the camera. On second thoughts, you're not going to actually see much. It's pitch black, and although the camera is very capable in the dark, it's not picking up any of the background landscape, so there's really nothing to see. You'll have to wait until the end of the video to see the final images. I'm not sure how long to hang around here. The aurora alerts have dropped off. I was going to wait until the plough, which points to the North Star, had moved into the centre of my composition, but it's quite high, so I'm not sure that would have worked compositionally anyway. I'm meeting a friend in Edinburgh tomorrow, and I don't want to be completely shattered for that. I've been getting up so early. I got up at 4 this morning, so I don't want to pull an all-nighter, although I will have major FOMO if the red alert goes off while I'm asleep. Stop. It is a beautiful morning down here at Milarrochy Bay. It was really misty when I woke up this morning, but I didn't catch the best of it. I gave myself a little lie and I got a whole 6 hours sleep. Frankly, after a week constantly on the go, it is quite a relief just to spend a morning relaxing and not have anything pressing to do. So this bay is a bit of a honeypot location for photographers, and I did want to come and see the famous tree that everyone photographs, but I also wanted to explore up and down the shore a little bit, and I've seen a few compositions that I might come back to in the future. In spite of all the rain over the last few days, the water levels in Loch Lomond aren't that high yet, and the root base of the tree isn't covered, so that picture that everyone goes for is not possible at the moment. I did get lucky at one point with some run and gun photography when some crows landed on the tree and they were facing each other with some lovely gesture, and just as they did that, a rain cloud moved through and obscured the mountains somewhat in the background, so that should make a nice image. When I was driving down from Skye yesterday, I was thinking about coming here to photograph the Northern Lights, but I'm glad I didn't in the end. Although there are some lovely compositions, I get the feeling that the horizon would have had some light pollution, and the mountains that you can see when you're facing north don't stick up very prominently above the tree line. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the composition I found for the Aurora, last minute scouters as it was. The only drawback to that location is that the A82 runs right alongside it, which was making getting the exposure timing a little bit tricky. We'll have to see when I get it back on the computer what I can make of it. The image of the crows on the tree was just how I had hoped. I shot the scene a few different ways, but back at the computer I've settled on a 3x1 panorama, which accentuates the drama above the mountains on the far side of the loch. I am interested to edit this image again and see if I can get it to work in colour, but for now black and white captures the atmosphere I had seen while shooting. Just as I had feared, as I was falling asleep the Aurora red alert started pinging. I may well have missed the best of the display, but I'm more than happy with the images that I did get from my evening under the stars. I like the visual flow of this image. I like that the stream in the foreground captures the ambient magenta of this night, and the rock out into the water anchors the composition nicely. Meanwhile, the purple pillars in the upper atmosphere push your eye back into the scene towards the dominant lime green on the horizon. While I curse the cars as they pass me, the headlights rounding the bend further along the loch are one of my favourite features of this photo. As I finished my tea down by the loch shore, I felt calm. There are moments of these trips where I'm not pulled by a sense of urgency, but much of the time I'm busy, on the move, or completely taken up by activity. As I went over the last few days in my head, I felt deeply satisfied. On the 1,600 miles of this trip, I had had a bit of everything. Torrential rain, debilitating wind, hail in the face, snow on the peaks, gear disasters, and now, to cap it off, I'd finally photographed the Northern Lights. That's it for this series. Next time will be a bit different. This winter I have the privilege of helping a friend film in Antarctica. While a group tour is going to be quite different to my usual lonesome travels, I'll share my video diary with you on here. You'll just have to bear with me for a few months while I process all the images. Thank you for coming with me on my latest landscape photography adventure. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing and turn on notifications to see when my next trip goes live. I also release early previews on Instagram and Facebook.